So, what if the biggest secrets of the universe aren't actually hidden in these crazy complex equations, but in a simple, almost childlike observation? Today, we're going to dive into a book called Holy Science by John Hubert. He calls himself an average man, but his ideas could turn modern physics completely on its head. See, he claims the unified theory isn't some math problem we need to solve, but a revelation of God's constant active will.
For John Hubert, this wasn't just a passing thought. Nope, it became an obsession. It launched him on a decade-long quest that took him way outside of traditional science and into what he says was a moment of pure, divine revelation. It's funny, right? A simple question, the kind we all ask as kids and then forget, became the absolute key to his entire view of the world.
And this is the man himself. He makes it crystal clear. He is not a trained physicist. He doesn't claim to be a genius. In fact, he actually thinks being average is his greatest strength. He believes these incredible truths are kind of intentionally hidden from the experts and only revealed to people who come at it with a humble, unfiltered curiosity.
Okay, so what was that first big domino to fall in this whole chain of unconventional thinking? Well, it all kicks off with a simple pattern, a universal blueprint that Hubert believes has been hiding in plain sight this entire time.
Just look at this. On one side, you've got an atom. On the other, our solar system. Hubert's big aha moment was realizing that these two systems, even though they're at completely different scales, share the exact same structure. To him, this was way more than a coincidence. He saw it as the fundamental blueprint of all creation, just repeating itself from the tiniest particle all the way up to the cosmos.
And that one observation, it has a massive implication. I mean, think about it. If the blueprint is the same everywhere, and we know atoms aren't expanding, Hubert asks, why on earth would we assume the universe is? This leads him to a totally radical reinterpretation of redshift. He says it's not a sign of a Big Bang explosion. Instead, it's evidence of the universe's own incredible spin velocity. He argues creation didn't happen from an explosion down, but from the particle up. And this whole idea of a spinning universe, well, that becomes the engine for his entire mechanical theory. You know, if everything is in constant motion, from the smallest little particle to the biggest galaxy, you have to ask, what does all that motion actually do? Well, for Hubert, the answer is pretty much everything.
He breaks it down with a really simple analogy. Imagine you're spinning a weight on a string. That spin creates a little vortex in the space around it, which then creates a vacuum, right? A zone of low pressure. Hubert argues that this low-pressure vacuum is what we call gravity.
So, here's the crucial point. In his model, gravity isn't a property of matter itself, it's an effect of its spin. And what starts that spin? Well, Hubert traces it all the way back to a single supernatural originating force, the will of God, setting everything into motion from the very beginning. And this is where his theory takes a really mind-bending turn. He asks a simple question: why does everything spin? His answer connects the cutting edge of physics with the very first words of the Bible. He proposes that all matter is really just space, spinning at the speed of light. That makes it, in essence, frozen light, energy held in a stable pattern by a divine command.
Okay, so if God's will creates matter by setting it all spinning, what keeps it from just collapsing in on itself or flying apart? This brings us to the second huge pillar of Hubert's theory, the force he believes is actively sustaining the universe moment by moment.
He calls this force sustained order. Hubert points out a major puzzle in physics. With gravity constantly pulling everything together, why don't atoms just clump together into one big mess? The fact that they stay separate, that they maintain their structures, he argues, is direct proof of a continuous, conscious, supernatural will holding everything right where it's supposed to be.
And he connects this right back to Scripture. He'll take a verse like this one about God setting boundaries for the sea, and he applies it to the quantum realm. This sustained order acts like a kind of divine surface tension, a boundary that God places around every single particle to make sure the universe stays stable and orderly.
And he sees this divine pattern of three just about everywhere, not just in atoms, but in the very fabric of reality itself. He argues that the three absolutes you need for existence, time, space, and energy, each have three core properties. He's convinced this can't be a coincidence, it's a reflection of the Creator's own triune nature.
So, if these truths are so simple and these patterns are so obvious, why hasn't mainstream science found them? This leads us to the book's really powerful critique of the scientific establishment.
Hubert even leans on this quote from Einstein to really drive his point home. He argues that formal education, with its rigid rules and its fear of being wrong, often just crushes the very childlike curiosity you need to see these profound, simple truths.
He believes the truth is hidden behind a veil of intellectual pride. Physicists, he claims, are just biased against any kind of supernatural cause. They get lost trying to create a mathematical equation for the origin of physics itself, which he argues is impossible. For him, the answer isn't found in being more complex, it's found in being more humble.
And this right here is the core message of the whole book. Far from being an enemy of faith, Hubert argues that science, when you look at it without bias, is the ultimate proof, the ultimate testament to a creator's constant, active, and sustaining presence in every single particle of the universe.
So we're left with the big question at the heart of holy science. Is the unified theory a problem that physicists need to solve with more math? Or is it a revelation, an obvious truth, just waiting for anyone with the humility and curiosity to simply see it? It's a fascinating thought to chew on.